It's the KC Arts Beat Report. I'm Patrick Neas. Thanks for joining me. And boy, I tell you, if you like variety, you will definitely want to listen to our guest today, Stacie McDaniel, who's the executive director of the Midwest Trust Center at Johnson County Community College, because she's just announced their 2025-2026 season. But before we get into that, and I tell you, we have a lot of great stuff to tell you about. You will not believe it. I would like to ask you to please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please follow KC Arts Beat on Facebook. We post lots of great information about the arts every single day. We keep you up to date on what's going on in the arts in Kansas City, but also we let you know about what happened in the arts in the past. We focus on composers' birthdays and important dates in history, so please follow us on Facebook. And right now it's time to say welcome to Stacie McDaniel. Stacie, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Patrick. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
And I tell you, I was looking over your schedule. It is astonishing, not just the amount of things you have going, but the quality and the variety. I mean, you have everything from dance to folk music to classical music to great theater to great Christmas programs. I mean, you've got it all. It's just the most amazing variety. So let's get to it. What kind of guided your philosophy putting this season together?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. And thank you for noticing the variety. That's sort of our guiding philosophy. So I think I go into every season trying to put together a series of performances, sort of a catalog of events, where every member of the community, both here at Johnson County Community College and the wider KC region at large, can look at the lineup and say, oh, yeah, that show's of interest to me. That show really represents something that is part of my culture. And so really just trying to touch all of those different communities throughout the season, and making sure that we have the widest variety of offerings. That's really the goal.
And you have amazing dance offerings. I mean, you're starting off your season with dance.
Absolutely. So New Dance Partners is one of our favorite ongoing projects. So this is a project that we do annually where we bring four international and nationally known choreographers here to Kansas City and to the region to work with local dance companies here and present new works. So 2 evenings of new works will be produced with New Dance Partners. It's really an exciting program. It's very unique in the dance community, and we're very proud of it.
And then that's on September 6th. That same month, September 11th, you have something that sounds very intriguing, The Witcher in concert.
Yeah, absolutely. So, The Witcher in concert is game footage from the Witcher video game, which was won over 800 awards, including Game of the Year. So it's that game footage with the live score played right there in the room with you. So it's sort of similar. There's a common thing happening in the industry with movies being played with their live scores and soundtracks. And so this is really the video game version of that. So we're really excited to sort of reach out to that community, and get folks in who are both fans of the game or fans of the Witcher TV show.
So, will people play the game at the
So it's recorded gameplay,
Uh-huh.
but it will be key scenes from the game. So if you are familiar or have been a player of that game, it's a narrative format, it's a fantasy game. And so it will be like scenes from the gameplay, with the music that takes place in those scenes.
How intriguing. Just talking with Clint Ashlock a couple of weeks ago from the Kansas City Jazz Orchestra about all the great music that has been written for video games.
Absolutely. And they have this particular video game has won awards for his music. And so I think it's really going to be a good fit for people who are both fans of the game as well as people who just love classical and thematic music.
You do, as you mentioned, music that appeals to all different kinds of communities. You do a lot of world music, and you have a big mariachi concert coming up in October.
Absolutely. So October 10th is uh, we've got mariachi and ballet folklorico, and the program is called Eternamente. So it's a celebration of Dia de los Muertos with music and dance and a digital altar where audience members can submit the names and pictures of their loved ones to be honored.
Oh, how cool. That is,
We're really excited about that one. Yeah.
yeah, that sounds really great. Now, for a more traditional offering, these children have been around for a long time and they always put on a terrific show, the Vienna Boys Choir.
Absolutely. So Vienna Boys Choir has been celebrated for 6 centuries as internationally touring choral music artists. So it's typically made up of boys between the ages of 10 and 14, and they'll do classical pieces as well as folk and contemporary choral music.
And classical music is always an important component of what you do. And you have several offerings that are strictly classical. For example, our own homegrown group, the Opus 76 Quartet, they seem to do a lot of collaborative things with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Opus 76 Quartet has been our artists in residence since 2021. And so we work very closely with them to promote classical music across Kansas City. So, in addition to their performance as part of our series, we also do a series with them called Next Gen, which often features students from the Youth Symphony of Kansas City. And so, really, it's just about building that next generation of classical music fans and musicians.
That's excellent. Um, you also always have some very interesting holiday offerings for people who want something a little bit off the beaten path. Look no farther than the Midwest Trust Center. What have you got going on for the holidays this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually got a couple of really exciting holiday offerings. Christmas in Killarney is a Celtic music holiday program. So it's a narrative story told through Irish song and dance, as well as classic Christmas favorites. And then Dolly Parton's Smoky Mountain Christmas Carol, which we are so excited about. I know that's going to be a fan favorite. So it's a holiday musical written by Dolly Parton based on the Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol. So it tells the story of a mining town, and Ebenezer Scrooge is the CEO of the mining company there and learns to capture the Christmas spirit.
Oh, good. That's good to know. It sounds like both of those shows are perfect for the whole family.
Absolutely. I think going to be great family shows, just really exciting ways to celebrate the holidays with your loved ones. And I think you can expect lightheartedness, heartwarming performances, and just great music.
And speaking of families, one of the hallmarks of the Midwest Trust Center is all the great programs you have for that are especially appealing to children. And you have so many coming up that we can't even go into them all. But I mean, that is sort of an important part of what you do, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we actually have, of the last 2 years, we're doing a new pricing structure, which we call family tier pricing for certain shows. So it keeps those ticket prices super accessible, but gives you the best in family programming. And just a couple of those programs that I'll mention this year that I'm really excited about. In January, we have The Jungle Book, which is a beautiful production of Kipling's classic story of Mowgli and learning to move from the jungle to the urban jungle and what it means to be connected with the animal world. And so that's going to be a beautiful production that uses puppetry and projection and wonderful original music. And then also Lightwire Theater is doing The Ugly Duckling. And they are sort of a dance physical theater troupe. They use electroluminescent wire on black bodysuits.
Ooh.
And then the whole performance is told through movement. So you're seeing the lit up characters on stage on a totally black stage. And that tells the story with amazing music. So those are a couple of really great offerings that the whole family can enjoy. So they are intended for children, but just as enjoyable for adults. And again, because those are at our family tier pricing, it's going to be affordable to bring the whole crew out.
I was going to say the way you describe those shows, I would love to see those.
Absolutely. And that's the goal is that we want families to be able to enjoy together. So, not something that's just for kiddos, but something that really appeals to all generations.
And another component of the Midwest Trust Center is Broadway shows. You have great technical facilities out there to put on these Broadway productions, and you have one coming up called the Barricade Boys.
Yeah, so the Barricade Boys is a quartet of British West End performers who all met performing in Les Miserables on the West End, and they became best friends and musical collaborators. And so they do a whole evening of Broadway and contemporary hits, but also stories from working together, touring internationally with musicals, as well as being together on the West End in those performances as well. And they have, between the four of them, just very impressive resumes, and they are so charming. So often things like that can become, err a little on the cheesy side, but I was totally charmed by them, and it's just a really going to be a really exciting evening of Broadway performance.
And speaking of theater, you are bringing the very prestigious acting company. Tell us about the acting company.
Absolutely. So the acting company is one of the only fully produced um, theater companies that does really classic repertoire. They've launched the careers of actors such as Rainn Wilson and Jeffrey Wright. Those are just two names, but the list goes on and on. And we've got them in two amazing classic titles, Great Expectations and then Midsummer Night's Dream. And so we're expecting just two beautiful nights of theater. Great Expectations just happens to be on Valentine's Day, so that's a perfect date night there. And then Midsummer Night's Dream will be the following day. We're doing a matinee of Midsummer Night's Dream, and we're actually doing a tea along with that. So that's a fun outing for families and friends to get together for that one.
Dickens and Shakespeare, I mean, you can't go wrong, right?
Absolutely. I mean, just some of the greats, and that's really acting. The acting company's goal is to present titles that everybody's going to be familiar with and just do them so well. And so if you are a theater fan, those are not to be missed.
And something that jumped out at me, Winterlude Jazz Festival with Arturo O'Farrill and the Afro-Latin Jazz Ensemble next March. That sounds like that'll heat things up.
Absolutely. So I think that, the Afro-Latin jazz is really popular genre, and nobody does it better than Arturo O'Farrill. He is one of the resident artists at Birdland in New York. So he and his ensemble are playing there frequently. That's where I had the pleasure of seeing them and knew that I wanted to bring them here. So I think they're going to be a perfect headline for the Winterlude Jazz Festival. And I hope that folks will also join us for the rest of that weekend, where we'll have featuring local jazz artists to fill out the rest of that card. So it'll just be a really exciting weekend of jazz, and then ending it on, like you said, a hot note with Arturo O'Farrill and the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra.
Also in March, I have to say, Stacie, this sounds a little disturbing. Serial killers with Dr. Scott Bond. What is
Yeah.
that all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best way to describe this one is it is a true crime podcast, but live and in person. So Dr. Scott Bond is a criminologist and a serial killer expert. He's personally interviewed Dennis Rader, the BTK strangler, as well as David Berkowitz, son of Sam. And so this is an evening basically talking about what creates a serial killer, what is happening in their mind when we're doing these horrific crimes, what leads them to that place. And then he'll also share the stories of interviewing those two notorious serial killers and what he learned from interacting with them. And so I would say, not for the faint of heart, although I think it's going to be really just as much entertainment and educational as it will be scary.
Well,
And
that's
that one's on a Friday the 13th, so
oh, oh, perfect.
we'll all be testing our luck a little bit.
Yes. Well, I tell you, those serial killer podcasts are hugely popular, and I understand
Yeah.
why. We all want to explore the dark corners of the human psyche.
Absolutely. And I think it's helpful for us to feel safe if we can understand what drives someone to do these things. And so I think I can certainly understand wanting to be prepared and wanting to know how to protect myself, but also I think just enjoying those things in concert with each other helps to make us all feel a little safer.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a very intriguing evening. Now, with something a little on the much more lighthearted side, the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain, they're always a lot of fun.
Absolutely, total fan favorites. And I think when people hear the title Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain, there's always a little bit of like, what am I going to get here? But I want to assure everyone that the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain is really just about having a good time. They love music and they play ukuleles of all shapes and sizes, and the music is just as diverse. So they'll play everything from, more classical ukulele tunes to what they're most known for is mashups of contemporary songs and music and movie themes, all made for the ukulele. And so it's just really a really good time. And I think they're from Great Britain, so there's a sort of cheeky humor that goes along with the performance as well. And no one ever leaves that concert doing anything other than smiling.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, a big part of what you do are just the standard core classical things. And you're
Absolutely.
bringing one of the world's great chamber orchestras to the Midwest Trust Center next April. Tell us about them.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the Australian Chamber Orchestra that we're bringing, and they are celebrating their 50th anniversary. And they're doing that by celebrating 5 centuries of music. So expect to hear music from the past 5 centuries. They're doing basically one piece for every century, starting from the 1600s forward. And they've got Handel, Henry Purcell, and then some new works as well.
Wow. Well, it's almost dizzying how much stuff you've got going on out there. And I hope we've given people a little bit of an idea of the tremendous variety. Is there anything that you wanted to hit? I know we didn't even begin to touch it all, but is there anything you wanted to mention that we didn't mention?
Wow, it's so hard to pick a favorite thing that I want to make sure we mention. It's like trying to pick a favorite child. But I think just one thing that I just want to mention, we've got music for all kinds. And one note that we basically always make sure that we hit is the folk and world music, genre. So we've got a bunch of great folk, Americana, bluegrass artists, as well as some world music coming. Jig Jam, which is an Irish bluegrass quartet. Sepharine out of North Africa. They do the music of North Africa and southern Spain and really talk about the cultural exchange in that part of the world. And Ranky Tanky, which is a two-time Grammy winners. And they celebrate music from the Gullah culture, which is from the Sea Islands off of South Carolina. So, great mix of world and folk music there. And I think that's just something that we really like to do well and often. So, definitely come see us for those.
Incredible. Where can people peruse the complete season?
Please visit our website. That's jccc.edu/MTC for the full lineup.
And the Midwest Trust Center is very easily accessed, isn't it? Off of I-435.
Yep, absolutely. So we're off of I-435 in Quivira, just south of 435 on the JCCC campus. And I think one thing that we always like to mention is that we have free parking. So come see us.
Yeah, that's a big plus. Uh, that really is. No, and you can easily get to the Midwest Trust Center from anywhere in the metro area, and you'll have a chance to see offerings that you will not see anywhere else in the metro area. So it's really awesome what you're doing, Stacie, and I'm glad you shared it with us today.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Patrick. It's been a real joy.
Well, I look forward to talking to you again soon. Till then, this is the KC Arts Beat Report. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. And until next time, I'm Patrick Neas.